The late spring air in Atlanta carried a warmth that made the city feel alive. Cars rolled past the busy streets, kids played basketball at the neighborhood court, and laughter spilled from nearby porches. But inside Leah Carter's apartment, the atmosphere was heavy. Leah sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly. She wasn't searching for anything in particular, just distracting herself after a long day at work. That's when a notification popped up from Facebook. It was a photo of her father, Thomas Carter, smiling at a fancy restaurant. The caption was written by her brother, Alex. "Can't wait to celebrate Dad's 70th in style this weekend. Family only. Big things planned. #Carter Legacy." Leah froze. Her throat tightened, and she blinked at the words. "Family only," she whispered bitterly. She was his daughter, too. Why wasn't she told? The truth hit her like a slap. She hadn't been invited. Her chest ached as memories rushed back. Years of being the overlooked child, the one her father rarely praised, the one her mother often scolded for not being good enough. And now, at the biggest milestone of his life, she was shut out completely. Leah dropped her phone on the table and buried her face in her hands. "So that's it. I'm not even worthy to stand in the same room with my father." Her voice cracked, though no one was there to hear. The clock ticked loudly in the silence of her small apartment, marking the painful truth. She was not wanted at her own father's birthday celebration. 2 days later, Leah drove to her mother's house in Decatur. The neighborhood was filled with familiar faces, neighbors who had watched her and Alex grow up. But even as she parked in front of the old brick house, a lump sat heavy in her throat. Her mother, Evelyn Carter, opened the door with her usual stiff posture, arms folded as though she had been expecting a fight. "Leah," she said coolly, "what brings you here unannounced?" Leah stepped inside, the scent of fried chicken and collard greens instantly reminding her of Sunday dinners long past. "Mama, I need to ask you something. Why wasn't I told about Daddy's birthday party?" Evelyn's lips tightened. "Because it's not for you. Alex is handling it, and your father agreed." Leah's jaw dropped. "Not for me? Mama, that's my father too. How could you just go along with that?" Her mother sighed and looked away. "Your father doesn't want tension at his birthday. You always bring complications. You know how you and Alex don't get along." Leah's voice rose, her hands trembling. "Complications? You mean the truth. You mean the fact that Alex has always been your golden child while I'm treated like I don't exist." Evelyn frowned, her voice sharp. "Lower your voice. This is exactly why we didn't want you there. You always make everything about you." Leah's eyes burned with tears. "About me? Mama, do you even hear yourself? All I wanted was to celebrate my father's life. But you've already chosen. It's Alex, always Alex." Her mother turned away, busying herself with the pots on the stove. The conversation was over, at least for Evelyn. Leah stood there, her fists clenched. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. Every photo on the wall showed Alex in caps and gowns, Alex at graduations, Alex with his arm around their smiling parents. Leah's face was there too, but only in the background, half smiles, cut off edges. She whispered to herself as she walked out, "Maybe I was never really part of this family." Later that evening, Leah gathered her courage and called Alex directly. His deep voice answered casually, "Yo, Leah. What's up?" She wasted no time. "Alex, why didn't you tell me about Daddy's birthday party? Why do I have to see it on social media?" There was a pause before Alex chuckled lightly. "Leah, don't start. Look, it's Dad's 70th. We're doing something big. You know how you are, you bring drama. We wanted it smooth." Her chest tightened. "Drama? Are you kidding me? I'm his daughter. What gives you the right to decide who's family enough to celebrate him? Alex's tone turned sharp. Leah, you've been distant for years. You barely call. You missed Thanksgiving last year, remember? This party is for the ones who've been there. I'm protecting Dad from stress. Leah felt the sting. Protecting him. Or protecting your image as the perfect son. You've always wanted to be the hero while I'm painted as the failure. Listen, Alex snapped, his patience running thin. This isn't about you. Don't make it about you. Dad agreed. So let it go. Her voice broke. Let it go. You're telling me to sit at home while y'all celebrate without me? Do you know how humiliating that is? There was silence, then Alex's cold reply. Sometimes you gotta accept how things are, Leah. Don't show up. It won't end well. The line went dead. Leah stared at her phone, her hands trembling. Her own brother had just shut the door in her face. The pain dug deeper than she expected, not just because of the party, but because it confirmed what she had always feared. She was never truly wanted. The night after their phone call, Leah lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her apartment. Every word Alex had said replayed in her mind like a cruel echo. Don't show up. It won't end well. It was one thing for her mother to dismiss her, but Alex? They had shared a childhood, long summer afternoons playing tag in the yard, winter nights huddled around the heater when the power bill went unpaid. They had once been inseparable. But somewhere along the way, the bond broke. She opened her laptop and clicked through Alex's Instagram page. There he was, posting pictures with their father at business events, at Sunday service, shaking hands with community leaders. Alex always front and center. And Leah? She was never in the frame. Scrolling further, she noticed the newest post, a professional flyer with gold lettering, Thomas Carter's 70th birthday gala. Hosted by Alex Carter. The words felt like daggers. Her brother hadn't just excluded her. He had branded himself as the gatekeeper of their father's legacy. Leah slammed the laptop shut and muttered, "So this is who you've become, Alex? The perfect son at my expense." She couldn't understand how someone who once protected her from bullies in middle school now stood as her biggest enemy. Betrayal had never tasted so bitter. The following morning, Leah sat by her small balcony sipping lukewarm coffee, her thoughts drifting to her childhood. She remembered being 8 years old, running into the living room with a perfect spelling test clutched in her hand. "Daddy, look! I got 100, she had said proudly. Her father, sitting in his recliner, barely glanced up. "That's good, Leah," he said, returning to the newspaper. Minutes later, Alex walked in with a basketball trophy. Their father jumped to his feet, eyes sparkling. "That's my boy, Alex Carter, the future NBA star." He hugged him so tightly, lifting him off the ground. Leah had stood there, spelling test crumpling in her hand, invisible. Another memory surfaced, her high school graduation. Leah had worked 3 jobs while maintaining honor roll, but when the ceremony ended, all the family pictures were of Alex, who had shown up in a flashy car. "You should be more like your brother," Evelyn had whispered to her that day, smiling proudly at Alex. The memories pressed on her chest like weights. She realized that being excluded from the birthday wasn't new. It was just the latest chapter of a lifetime of favoritism. Her voice cracked as she whispered to herself, "No matter what I did, I was never enough." That evening, Leah's phone buzzed. It was a call from her best friend, Jasmine Walker. They had met back in nursing school, and Jasmine had always been the sister Leah never had. "Girl, your silence tells me something's wrong," Jasmine said the moment Leah picked up. Leah tried to hold her composure, but her voice betrayed her. "They didn't invite me to Daddy's birthday, Jazz. My own father. My brother made sure I was shut out." Jasmine gasped. "Wait, what? Are you serious? That's cold. Real cold." Leah's eyes filled with tears. Mama said I bring complications. Alex said I'd ruin things. I'm just so tired, Jazz. It feels like I've been fighting for their love my whole life, and they keep slamming the door in my face. Jasmine's voice softened. Leah, listen to me. You've always been enough. You're smart, hard-working, kind. The problem isn't you, it's them. They've been blind for years. But it still hurts, Leah admitted, wiping her eyes. It's like being erased while still alive. Then stop letting them define you, Jasmine urged. Girl, you're 35 years old. You got your own life, your own worth. Don't let a birthday party convince you otherwise. Leah let out a shaky laugh. You make it sound so easy. It ain't easy, Jasmine replied firmly. But it's necessary. They don't get to write your story. You do. For the first time that week, Leah felt a flicker of warmth in her chest. Maybe Jasmine was right. Maybe she didn't need an invitation to prove she belonged. Still, as she hung up the phone, Leah whispered to herself, but why does it still feel like losing? The night of the party arrived. Leah tried to distract herself. She cooked dinner, put on Netflix, even opened a book, but her phone kept buzzing with notifications. Her cousin Simone had gone live on Instagram. Against her better judgment, Leah clicked. The screen filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the glow of chandeliers. A massive banquet hall decorated in gold and white was packed with people. Her father, Thomas Carter, stood at the center, beaming as a 7-tier cake was rolled in. Alex, in a sleek tuxedo, stood proudly by his side, holding the microphone. Tonight, we celebrate a true legend, Alex announced. The crowd cheered. Leah's chest tightened as she watched her brother soak in the applause. Guests crowded around her father, offering hugs and handshakes. Everywhere she looked, smiles, laughter, music. A celebration of family, yet she was watching it alone from her couch. The camera panned across tables where relatives sat. Aunt Denise, Uncle Ray, cousins she hadn't seen in years. Everyone was there. Everyone but her. Tears blurred her vision. She turned off the stream and threw her phone onto the couch. Why does it feel like they buried me while I'm still breathing? She whispered. For a moment, she considered showing up anyway. She imagined walking into that banquet hall in her best dress, head held high. But then Alex's words echoed in her mind. Don't show up. It won't end well. Leah sat in the dark, her heart breaking with every passing minute of the party she was forbidden to attend. The next afternoon, Leah sat in her apartment still nursing the ache from the night before. Her doorbell rang, and she frowned. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, she froze. Standing there was Pastor Williams, the longtime family pastor who had known her since she was a little girl. His salt and pepper hair and gentle smile had always carried authority and warmth. Pastor, Leah asked, startled. What are you doing here? He held a small envelope in his hand. Your father asked me to bring this to you. He wanted you to have it. Leah blinked in confusion. Wait, Daddy sent you. Pastor Williams nodded. He told me to tell you that not everything you see is the full truth. He has regrets, Leah. More than you know. Her hands shook as she accepted the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. The paper smelled faintly of her father's cologne, the one he always wore on Sundays. She unfolded it carefully. Leah, my daughter, I know you are hurting, and I know last night only made it worse. Please understand, your absence wasn't my wish. I allowed Alex too much control. I thought it would keep the peace, but instead, it caused more pain. I have made mistakes as a father, especially with you. I see that now. If you will let me, I want to make it right. Love, Dad. Leah's tears spilled freely. She pressed the letter to her chest, her voice breaking. After all these years, Why now? Pastor Williams placed a hand on her shoulder. Because he knows time is precious. He's not the man he once was, Leah. He's been battling more than you realize. Leah's head snapped up. What do you mean? The pastor hesitated, then said softly, Your father's health isn't as strong as it looks. He's been hiding it. That's why this birthday meant so much. But he regrets celebrating without you. Leah staggered back, her mind spinning. She had been left out not just of a party, but of precious moments she might not have many chances to reclaim. The following Sunday, Leah gathered her courage and drove to her father's house. Her heart pounded as she stood at the door, unsure if she was welcome. The door opened slowly, and there he was, Thomas Carter, her father. He looked smaller somehow, his frame thinner, his face marked with lines of fatigue. Yet his eyes softened the moment he saw her. Leah, he whispered, almost as if he didn't believe she was real. She swallowed hard. Daddy, why? Why didn't you stand up for me? He stepped aside, motioning her in. The house smelled faintly of medicine and old books. He lowered himself into his recliner with a sigh. Because I've been a coward, he admitted. I let Alex run too much. I thought avoiding conflict was protecting the family, but all it did was hurt you. Leah's eyes filled with tears. Do you know how it felt, sitting at home while everyone else celebrated? Like I wasn't your daughter at all. Thomas reached for her hand, his own trembling. You are my daughter, and I failed you. I see it now. Every time I praised Alex and ignored you, every time I let your mother's words cut you, I see it all. And I regret it more than I can say. Her chest heaved as years of pain bubbled to the surface. I spent my whole life trying to be enough for you, but nothing worked. Not grades, not jobs, not anything. You never looked at me the way you looked at Alex. His voice broke. And that was my sin. I thought I was raising you strong by being hard on you, but all I did was break your spirit. Forgive me, Leah. Please. Silence filled the room, heavy and raw. Leah stared at her father, torn between anger and love. For the first time, she saw him not as the towering figure of her childhood, but as a man, flawed, regretful, nearing the end of his time. She whispered, her voice trembling, I don't know if I can forgive yet, but I'm here. Thomas squeezed her hand, tears streaming down his face. That's more than I deserve. A week later, Leah found herself sitting in her car outside Alex's office. Her father's words still echoed in her ears. I regret it more than I can say. If she wanted to move forward, she needed to face Alex head-on. She walked into the sleek lobby, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Alex appeared in the hallway, surprised to see her. Leah! Her voice was steady. We need to talk. They stepped into his office, the walls lined with family photos, him with their father at business conferences, him receiving awards, him smiling in tuxedos. Not a single photo of her. Leah's gaze hardened. You cut me out of Dad's birthday. You've cut me out of this family for years. That ends today. Alex leaned back, arms crossed. Leah, you don't get it. I was protecting Dad. He doesn't need stress. Her eyes blazed. Protecting him, or protecting your image. You've always wanted to be the golden boy. You wanted to shine while I was invisible. But I'm not invisible, Alex. I'm his daughter too. For once, Alex had no comeback. His jaw tightened, his eyes flickered with something between guilt and pride. Leah pressed on, her voice trembling but strong. I don't need your permission to love my father. I will be in his life, whether you like it or not. The silence in the office was sharp, but for the first time, Leah felt she had spoken her truth without fear. The following Sunday, Leah returned to her father's house for dinner. Thomas had insisted on cooking, fried catfish, cornbread, and greens, even though his hands trembled as he stirred the pot. Alex was there too, his expression guarded. For most of the meal, silence hung in the air. Finally, Thomas cleared his throat and raised his glass of sweet tea. "I want to say something," he began, his voice rough with age. "For 70 years I've lived, but I have not always lived right. I favored one child over the other, thinking it was harmless. But it wasn't. It broke something in this family." Alex shifted uncomfortably, while Leah's eyes filled with tears. Thomas looked at her directly. "Leah, I'm sorry for every time I overlooked you. I'm sorry for not defending you. I'm proud of you, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. Strong. Resilient. My daughter." Leah's breath hitched. Those words, the ones she had waited a lifetime to hear, finally came. Thomas then turned to Alex. "And you, son. I leaned on you too much. I let you carry things that weren't yours to carry. But don't mistake leadership for ownership. This family belongs to both of you." Alex lowered his eyes, shame flickering across his face. For the first time in years, Leah felt seen. The burden she had carried began to lighten. Weeks passed, and slowly, the wounds began to mend. Leah visited her father regularly, bringing groceries, sitting with him through doctor's appointments, and listening to his stories. Each visit healed another layer of her heart. Alex remained distant at first, but over time, even he softened. One afternoon, he stopped by Leah's apartment unexpectedly. He stood awkwardly at the door, hands shoved in his pockets. "I was wrong," he admitted quietly. "I thought I was protecting Dad. But I was just protecting myself. You deserve to be there, Leah. You've always deserved more than I gave you." Leah studied him, unsure whether to believe his words. But then she saw it, sincerity in his eyes. She nodded slowly. "Thank you, Alex. That's a start." Months later, Thomas's health began to decline further. When the time came for his 71st birthday, the celebration was smaller, quieter. But this time, Leah sat at his side, holding his hand, her name etched firmly into the story of the Carter family. As she looked around the table, at Alex, at her mother, at her father, she realized healing wasn't about being invited to every party. It was about reclaiming her worth, her place, her truth. That night, as they sang softly and her father smiled weakly at the flickering candles, Leah whispered to herself, "I belong. And I always have." It was just past midnight when Leah's phone buzzed on her nightstand. Groggy, she reached for it and saw Alex's name flashing. For a moment, she thought about ignoring it. But something in her gut told her to answer. "Leah," Alex's voice cracked. "It's Dad. He's not doing well. The ambulance just took him to Emory Hospital." Her heart sank. "What happened?" "He collapsed. Shortness of breath, chest pain. I don't know. Just get here." Leah jumped out of bed, threw on clothes, and rushed into the night. As she sped through the empty Atlanta streets, her mind raced. Had she wasted too much time holding on to hurt? What if the birthday incident was the last straw, and she never got another chance to show her father her love? When she arrived at the hospital, Alex was pacing the waiting room, his suit jacket wrinkled, his eyes red. For once, he didn't look like the polished golden boy. He just looked like a scared son. The two locked eyes. No words were exchanged, but in that moment, both knew they were there for the same reason. Family. Hours later, a doctor came out with weary eyes. "Your father is stable for now," he said. "He had a mild heart attack. We've started treatment, but he'll need close monitoring." Relief washed over Leah, but it was fragile. She and Alex walked quietly down the hall to Thomas's room. The beeping machines and smell of antiseptic filled the air. Thomas lay in bed, frail but awake. His eyes fluttered open when he saw them. "My children," he whispered. Leah rushed to his side, taking his hand. "Daddy, don't scare us like that." Thomas gave a weak smile. "Guess I needed a dramatic way to bring my family together." Even Alex chuckled through his tears. For a moment, the tension between siblings cracked just enough for light to shine through. Later, while their father rested, Leah and Alex sat together in the hospital cafeteria. The silence between them was heavy, but it was Alex who finally spoke. "You've been stronger than me," he admitted quietly. "I always thought being Dad's favorite made me better, but it made me selfish. You kept showing up, even when he pushed you away. That's real strength." Leah blinked, stunned. It was the first time Alex had ever acknowledged her worth out loud. "Alex," she said softly, "we've both been carrying pain, but maybe we can stop carrying it against each other." For the first time in years, Alex nodded without sarcasm. "Maybe we can." 2 months later, Thomas returned home under doctor's orders to take it slow. This time, there was no grand gala, no golden balloons. Instead, Leah and Alex planned a quiet family dinner in his living room. The table was simple: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, peach cobbler. No photographers, no flyers, no spotlight. Just family. Evelyn sat at the head, fussing about the seasoning. Alex served plates with less arrogance than usual. And Leah, for once, didn't feel like an outsider. When it came time for dessert, Leah stood and cleared her throat. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "Daddy," she began, "last year, I wasn't at your birthday. That broke me. But tonight, I'm here. Not because I fought for a seat, but because I finally know I deserve it. I love you, and I forgive you." Thomas's eyes glistened as he whispered, "Thank you, baby girl." The family joined hands around the table. For the first time in decades, Leah felt the circle wasn't broken. She wasn't standing outside looking in. She was exactly where she belonged. And though she knew scars would always remain, she also knew healing had finally begun.